All right. Welcome in. Hope you guys can hear me. I'm gonna let some more people join and then we'll get started. We'll just give it like 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. All right, I think we can get started now. This will be recorded, just to let you guys know. And I, after this is finished, I'm gonna upload the recording to my Substack either today or Monday. So if you want to watch it back, or you want to send it to somebody, it'll be available to all of you guys. Um, I guess a few things before we start. Please stay muted throughout the presentation. There'll be a time to ask questions. We'll do a full Q&A at the end. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, there should be a Q&A box on the Zoom screen for you guys to actually enter a question into there, or you can write it down. Um, how we're going to do it at the end with the Q&A is that I'll answer all the questions in the Q&A box, and then we'll switch it over to actually, if you actually want to ask it in person live, then I will answer those as well. Um, but yeah, let's get started here. All right. Hope you guys can all see this. Should be able to. All right. So, my name is Maxim Smith. Very happy to have all of you guys here. It's pretty cool to actually be able to do this. Um, very, very fun to actually talk about the preparation, talk about it in depth. And if you don't know what the preparation is, it is an alternative to college. It's the first, at least in Glenn Beck's words, the first real alternative to college. And today I'm going to be showing you what it is, where it came from, why it came about, what it's produced so far, some of the economics behind it, and I'm going to be at the very end unveiling something that we're going to be opening up to everybody in the preparation to actually use, something that I think in the long run is going to produce some good benefits. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll do the full Q&A. But let's see. There we go. So college worked for a long time. It's been touted as the premier way to living a successful life. It's the premier way to start out at a young age and actually make good headway. And it's been this way, or at least been taught to be this for the last four generations, I'd say, primarily. That being baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and now my generation, Gen Z. And there's been a pretty steady decline in terms of what you actually get out of college, but within the last 5 years, it's gone way downhill very fast. And I think college worked for a time. It was something that actually produced what it promised. It allowed you to reap the rewards of what was promised to you before actually going in and putting in 4 years of study. You could go into college and expect people to support you. You could go into college and expect to actually learn a lot that would benefit you throughout your life. You could go into college and actually pay for it, uh, even pay for it while you're doing it. And it worked then for a short period because a fraction of a fraction of the percentage of the population actually went through it. And none of this is the case anymore. It's none of this is true anymore. The real median cost of college nowadays is $300,000. And of course, that's counting student loans, but that's also counting the opportunity cost, the lost earning years that you could have had if you hadn't gone to college. And I think the one thing that's left out of that number specifically is in the opportunity cost is not just the financial damage it does to you. It's the actual years of lost opportunity because what could be done within some of the most energetic years of your life, the years of your life where you know the least, and it's incredibly obvious, but you also have the benefit of everybody else knowing that you know nothing. And so you can get away with looking like a fool consistently, which allows you to learn lots of new things within a very short period of time. It's the time of your life where you should be going out, doing a lot, learning a lot, understanding how the world works and how you can operate in it. And you just don't get that in college. What you get in college is an extended childhood, an extended childhood where you are in a silo with your peers. You are around people your age who are just as ignorant as you are, just know just as much about the world as you do, which is probably nothing. Um, so the real opportunity cost is way beyond the financial loss from it. On top of that, only 41% of students pursuing a 4 year degree actually finish it in 4 years. Most of them take longer to actually make it through and get their degree. So if you're taking that original $300,000 number, you can tack on a year or two more years of that, and that's a major, major loss, major opportunity cost, along with, of course, additional student loans. And I think the last thing worth mentioning with that, and the thing that is becoming increasingly clear, increasingly obvious, is that the exact jobs that everybody is going to college for are being automated by AI. And per Goldman Sachs, by 2023 or in 2023, two out of three jobs are exposed to AI automation. So, on top of the $300,000 median cost of college, on top of the fact that you might not even finish it in 4 years when that was what you planned, when you leave college, you might not actually get a job. Um, you're not guaranteed what was promised to you in the beginning. And that's something that came with the last four generations is that everybody around you wants you to take at least one of the three conventional paths, that being college, the military, or the trades, and college being at the forefront, the premier of those three, the most prestigious, high end, at least in people's minds. And everybody around you expects you to go to college. There's a silent disdain if you don't. And on top of that, there's this like inherent thing in the that exists in the subconscious of people, especially in the Western world, especially in America, at least from what I've seen, that it's almost as if it's presented to you, college is presented to you as if you're guaranteed a job, like as if success is guaranteed. All you have to do is sign up. And people are starting to find out that that's not true. I read something a couple of months ago where, and this is becoming increasingly clear that this is happening a lot, and people are having this happen to them a lot. A guy sent out 5,000 applications after graduating. 5,000. He got a few interviews, but nothing came from it. And that's going to be a thing that we see much more is people going to college, people spending a lot of time and money on something and getting zero real benefit from it. The promise that was given to them is never fulfilled, and they're left in a hole at the end of it, a hole that they have to dig themselves out of and start fresh. They have to unlearn the things about the world that they thought they learned in college. They have to get themselves out of debt, which means they have to put themselves on a treadmill of just working to pay off that debt. Um, and they're going to make much less because the the amount they thought they were going to make from the job they thought they were going to have doesn't exist or might not even exist within the next 5 to 10 years. So, but along with college, I think the other two paths are uncertain as well.
Uncertain is
The trades have a lot of good things to them. Um, Obviously, the skills in of themselves are extremely valuable, extremely important, and something I wish I had personally. Um, but there's a major barrier to entry into the trades most of the time. You have to deal with rules, regulations, and that's its own thing. And then with the military, you can learn a lot of good skills, do a lot of interesting things that you would never do otherwise. But you are, especially in an ever more tumultuous world, you are signing yourself up for potentially going off to die by FPV drone in some pointless war, to be frank. And so you have to weigh the costs. You have to weigh the costs of everything. And the costs of the three conventional pads are quite heavy, quite heavy. And I think all of this, especially the college question, stems from this one way of thinking, this one way of looking at the world, which I think is incredibly destructive and something we have actively tried to combat in creating the preparation. You know, we start off by asking kids at a young age, who do you want to be? And by that, we really mean what kind of job do you want to have? And that's okay. It's lighthearted then. It's no big deal. Um, and it's kind of entertaining to ask that question. I mean, you get to hear, oh, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a firefighter, and they give all the reasons why, and it's lighthearted, fun, and entertaining. But as soon as you start creeping on 18, that question turns into what do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? And what that really means, what that directly translates to, is what kind of job do you want to have? And that leads straight into what I like to call the life checklist. And the life checklist is something that exists within the minds of just about everybody in the West. Um, it's this checklist that we've been told we all have to go through in order to be successful in life, according to our culture. And uh, the checklist goes as this: get through K through 12, go to college, take on the debt, do whatever's necessary to get through, get it done. It's going to be a success for you. Hopefully, get a job, climb a ladder, have a successful career, retire someday, and then die. And die, that's not the most tactful way to put it, but it's the most frank way to put it because it's potent and it shows how dull and formulaic this version of life is, which isn't really life. It isn't how life actually works. But by asking that question of what do you want to do? You know, what kind of uh, degree, what kind of major are you pursuing? What kind of degree are you going, do you want to have? And what kind of job do you want to have? Um, that all is very formulaic. It's it's basically like a horse with the blinders on. Okay, you have to pursue one thing only. That is the rest of your life. That is the thing you have to pay attention to. That is the only thing that matters. And everybody around you is is promoting this life checklist. And the real question we should be asking, instead of what do you want to do when you grow up, which again directly leads into one of the three conventional paths, usually college, is actually who do you want to become? That's the real question that matters, and that's the question that actually holds real weight. That's the thing that if you ask, I can't speak for young women, but if you ask any young man, and if you run into one or if you are one yourself, ask it to yourself, ask this question to the next young man you run into. Uh, if if the circumstances make sense, who do you want to become? And what that really means is, okay, if you're holding the ultimate version of yourself in your mind, who you could be, can you picture who that man is? What does he look like? How does he act? What skills does he have? Um, what is his character composed of? And what what sort of things does that man do? The life checklist is automatically, as soon as you ask that question, overruled by something of much greater meaning, of something that actually matters, of something that holds on to the person who's been asked that question, something that you carry with yourself, and that checklist is thrown out the window, and all of a sudden it's replaced by what do I need to do to become the man I want to be? And the direction is clear, it's given to you. And that goes straight into be, do, have. Now, be, do, and have are the three most important verbs in every language. They they are by far the most important verbs in every language. And they go in that order of importance exactly. Be is what matters most. Do is the leverage point. especially when you're young. That's the point. That's your point of leverage. That's what you can, that's the only thing you can actually put um, time and effort into because that's, again, if you're young, that's the time in your life where you have probably the most energy you'll ever have. Um, I'm not old, so I wouldn't know, but I'm guessing that's the time in your life when you have the most energy you'll ever have, the most curiosity you'll ever have, the least amount of responsibilities that tie you to a specific location. Um, that is your leverage point. But today, we focus on the have. Everything is about the have. And that goes with the life checklist and the idea of college overall is pursuing the have, when in reality, have is only the byproduct of doing and being. Have is not a have is never the leverage point. Have is just the byproduct of everything. And today we focus on what can we have? That's the only thing that matters. What can we have? What kind of car do I want to have? What kind of job do I want to have? What kind of career do I want to have? What kind of beautiful spouse can I have? How much money can I have in my bank account? That's our main point of focus. Do is the point of actual leverage, and do is the thing that matters, especially for young people. By doing more, not only do you have more skills, but you actually become more. You enter into the be and can fulfill that as well. And over time, it becomes a virtuous cycle of be, do, and have, or do, be, and have. Because the more you do, the more you become, and eventually, the more you have. And so, how this works in the preparation, the do is the same. That is the leverage point, and the preparation explains exactly what to do. The B is the first thing we emphasize in the beginning of the preparation, specifically in the beginning of the book, where we talk about the philosophy of everything. The B is the identity. The B is looking at who you could be, who you want to be, holding that man, the clearest version of that man in your mind, thinking about who he is, again, what he's capable of, what kind of skills he has, how he acts, even what he looks like, but also his character. What kind of virtues does he embody? What virtues does he possess? That is the thing that matters most at the end of the day. Again, that B question is the thing that's never answered today, but the thing that matters most. And then eventually, once you fulfill the do and fulfill the be over time, you have the product of the have. Skills, money, freedom, friends, whatever it may be, and those arrive on their own over time. The only thing that you have any control over is the do and the be. The have is totally outside of your control, but the chances of having the things you actually want to have are so much greater if you fulfill the do and be beforehand. Now, back in July of 2023, I was wrestling with the question of what I want to do. And I didn't have an answer to that question because none of the three conventional paths looked interesting to me, or fulfilling for that matter. My father has always been an entrepreneur, so I figured that I might do the same. But I had so little real life experience and so little confidence and competence because of that, that I couldn't even comprehend, even though it sounds very simple, I couldn't even comprehend what it would take to actually start a business, to actually build a product, um, provide a service, market that product or service. I couldn't even begin to figure that out. And so I had no why, I had no how, and my inaction um, created anxiety, and that anxiety created more action. It was a bad cycle. And at the same time, I was uh, very angry with the world and the people around me. Um, but ultimately, that was just a manifestation of inner disappointment. I felt so far away, even though I still absolutely am. Especially at that time, I felt so far from who I could be, indescribably far. And again, that created disappointment and anger with the world and the people around me. And honestly, if I had continued down that path, if the last 3 years of being the beta tester for the preparation never happened, it scares me to think about uh, who I would have been and where I would have been if things hadn't changed because it was going down a pretty bad path. And my father noticed this. My father, Matt Smith, um, he began to pick up on this. It was pretty clear that something was wrong, that something needed to be done. And about 13 years earlier, 13 years before 2023, my dad was in the car with Doug Casey. And if you don't know Doug Casey, he's a legendary speculator and investor. He's the original international man. He's been to 175 countries and lived in about 10, I think. He's my dad's mentor, and he's a Renaissance man in his own right. And so my dad and Doug were in the car together, and my dad or Doug was trying to pitch my dad on a book he wanted to write about about becoming a Renaissance man. And my dad didn't really fully understand what Doug was talking about at the time. He didn't really get it, and it didn't help that Doug, while talking about trying to write a book and trying to get my dad to help with it, was also saying that writing a book is brain damage. So my dad shied away from helping Doug write that book. But as soon as my dad realized that something was wrong and something needed to be done for me, he thankfully went to Doug and messaged him and just said, "Hey, can we talk about this book again? I want to go over it. Here's the situation. Let's talk about it." So they called, and what came out of that call was a list from Doug of games, skills, activity-based skills, and occupational-based skills, enough to be written on a napkin. It was it was very little, but that list literally changed how I looked at life itself. Um, and at the same time, the be, do, have idea was introduced to me. So with the combination of those two, it was obvious that to me that being and doing matter, and that this list was the beginning of how to actually do that. And so, just going over it very quickly, the preparation is ultimately a work of 3 generations. Like I said, Doug Casey, a legendary speculator, investor, original international man. He's written 9 books, lived in 175 countries, and he first conceived of this program to create modern day Renaissance men. So he's the genesis of it all. If it wasn't for Doug, none of this would have happened. My dad, Matt Smith, uh, serial entrepreneur who built several businesses now, including an online ad agency, our marketplace for music royalties, and a regenerative cattle ranch, and more. And my dad actually turned the list into a plan. He, along with myself, being the beta tester for it, worked with me this entire time, especially very heavily the first 2 years into it, to actually turn the preparation into what it is now, into a full program with a full curriculum. If it wasn't for him as well, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't have had the preparation. Um, I wouldn't have had somebody to guide me through it when I needed it, but we also wouldn't have had somebody who did the majority of the writing of the book, the spent a huge amount of man hours in actually trying to think about what works or what could work, what doesn't work, um, what might not work, how to actually structure the curriculum, thinking about the philosophy, how to introduce it. Um, he's the blueprint of it all. He put it all together. If it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have existed. And then, like I said, past 3 years, I've been the beta tester for the program, and I've been trying to prove that all of this can actually work. In the beginning, again, we just started off with that the list large enough to fit on a napkin, but being the beta tester, I think at this point, 3 years into it, I've I think we've successfully proven that this really can work, and that unlike college, it does the promises that are made within it, which are few but are heavy and important, can actually be fulfilled within the curriculum. So again, the core of the book is really, and the core of the program is to become the person you could be, to become um, possibly, I mean, it certainly puts you on the track to do it, to become a modern day Renaissance man, or an uomo universale, as the Renaissance Italians would call it, a universal man. Um, that is the fullest version of you. That is the ultimate version of you. That is the version of you that knows a few things, are a little about a lot about a little, and can actually do a lot of those things. Plus, you have good character, a strong moral compass, and eventually possess and maybe even embody certain virtues. And it goes back to Doug's original idea of what this book is supposed to be. It's about becoming a Renaissance man. And what that means is, of course, becoming competent, which is doing real things in the real world, learning how to heal people, how to fly, how to fight, how to build, how to sail, along with hundreds of other things. But it's also becoming educated, which is how to grasp the essentials well enough to actually tell sense from nonsense. And for those of you who are fans of John Taylor Gatto, that is one of his rules for actually becoming truly educated, is to understand how the world works well enough to tell when somebody's trying to fool you, or when a lie is being told to you, to actually tell reality from fantasy. But it's also becoming dangerous. And that's not just becoming capable and self-reliant from the skills you gain and from the experiences you have. Not just hard to knock off course, but actually hard to deceive. And that goes along with the line of being educated. If a person can think for themselves, act for themselves, and direct their own lives, it's a very rare thing. And that makes you truly dangerous. And then also grounded. The Renaissance men of old, not like Da Vinci necessarily. I think he paints a different and slightly incorrect image of what a Renaissance man is. But the true Renaissance men of old were, of course, competent, educated, and dangerous. But they also were men of character, of good character, and of virtue, which is something that we're lacking today. And it's a key part of becoming. At the end of the day, you can throw out the skills, you can throw out any financial benefit that you would gain from those skills. You can throw out all the experiences, whatever. If you are not pursuing virtue and seeking to embody it, then what you're doing means very little. The highest pursuit is the pursuit of virtue, and it's something that the conventional paths don't offer us. So, what are in the cycles? I guess I should explain very quickly. Cycles are something that we developed about a year into beta testing the preparation, and it really brought everything together into a very good structure that anybody could follow. So a cycle, as we like to call them, is 3 months long. It has a central theme around each cycle. There's 480 hours of real work that you should be putting into each cycle, which is 40 hours a week. And a cycle is centered around a central theme. And I'll get to all the themes that we have in the preparation in a moment. Um, but within that theme, there's the anchor course, which is the primary pursuit. It's the main pursuit. And that's the big hands-on adventure at the heart of the cycle. Could be becoming an EMT, learning how to fly a plane, um, working on a regenerative farm, um, whatever it is, it's the main thing, the main pursuit within those 3 months. But we also have real academics. And within the preparation book itself, we have a long list of high-end lecture series from primarily from the great courses, but from other places as well, where while you're doing the hands-on stuff in the real world, you can also gain the academics and learn from some of the world's top professors from your home or wherever you are in the preparation. And then, of course, there's the travel. You go where the skill is, and within the book, we have the exact locations of where to go to learn these skills, as well as how much it costs. And some of the cycles, one cycle in particular, the chef cycle takes you to Italy, Florence to be specific, and you're there for 1 month to 3 months, surrounded by one of the most beautiful cultures and cities in the world. Also learning how to speak Italian while taking a real professional cooking course. For the fighter cycle, you go to Thailand. You also, a lot of them are based in the States. So for the heavy equipment operator cycle, you go to Florida. Basically, you just travel a lot more than the average person. You go to a lot of different places that you never, you might thought you might never have gone to. Then there's work. We highly, highly encourage people to work throughout the preparation. Highly encourage people to do it. Primarily to fund the next cycle, the next pursuit. Of course, work to save some of that money, but primarily within the 4 year time frame that the preparation exists in, the main thing, the main point of working is to fund the next cycle because the skills stack, and each skill you stack, each skill you gain allows for greater earning potential going into the future. So we highly encourage working within each cycle. And then we have reflection. And this is something that I think a lot of people miss out on, but it's one of the most important pieces of it, and that's publishing a weekly report, a weekly update on what you're doing, what kind of progress you've made within the past week to the website Substack. And not only does this allow you to think, not only is it a private journal of what you're accomplishing, but it also holds you accountable over time because with the preparation being a highly independent, um, self-directed program, um, you do need some external pressure sometimes. And so as more people begin to follow what you're doing on Substack, the more pressure you feel to maintain that momentum, to keep building that momentum and keep making good progress. We also have fun with a purpose, which in the book, we call it do fun shit. Um, and that includes pursuing secondary skills like getting your open water scuba diving certification, skiing. You can even get I think it's called the Class A skydiving certification, which is the first one on the list of skydiving certifications. Learn how to climb, learn how to sail, train martial arts. learn a new language, learn how to play guitar, piano. We encourage people to spend 5 hours a week on at least one of these secondary skills. And so, wrapping it up at the end of it, you have the academics, you have the travel, you have the work, you have the reflection, which you're probably spending about 2 to 5 hours a week on the reflection. You're spending about 5 hours a week on the secondary skills, but the majority of your effort is going to the anchor course. And so these are the 16 cycles in the preparation. We have the medic cycle where you become an EMT, the pilot cycle where you learn how to fly small aircraft, so a Cessna or a Piper, for example. The cowboy cycle where you go to the American Cowboy Academy in Texas, or you learn how to mule pack in Idaho. We have the builder cycle where you go to, I think it's Maine, if I remember correctly, for the Shelter Institute, and you take their design and build course. The chef cycle, like I said, you go to Florence, Italy, and take a professional cooking course. You have the heavy equipment operator cycle, where you go to Florida and learn how to operate heavy equipment. At the end of it, you come out the other side with a certification that allows you to make money right away. We have the work cycle where you spend 3 months just going all in with working, trying to make as much money as you can. We have the welder cycle. We have the fighter cycle where you go to Thailand to train Muay Thai. We have the sailor cycle where if you take the same course I did, you start sailing in the Falkland Islands and end up after 21 days in Punta Arenas, Chile, and you get a competent crew certification from the Royal Yachting Association, which allows you to work on sailboats anywhere in the world. There's the survivalist cycle where you go to Boulder Outdoor Survival School and take a high-end, super high-end, legit survival course. There's the farmer cycle, the entrepreneur cycle, investor cycle, hacker cycle, and maker cycle. And these are not in any particular order of importance, although we do say that the last four cycles should be left to be done at least 2 years into the preparation. The reason for that being that the chances, especially if you're young and have little to no life experience, the chances of you having a baseline knowledge of how the world works, a baseline level of confidence and competence in the world, right out of the gate, and trying to get into the entrepreneur cycle to start a business, or in the investor cycle, the hacker cycle, and the maker cycle, the chances of you having all the things necessary to do those more complex cycles right away are slim. It's best to save those until later on into the program. But also, we want people to get out into the real world as soon as possible, as much as possible. And the best way to do that is to stick with cycles like the medic cycle and the builder cycle to start off with, because uh, those are those are like super important skills. If you know what to do when somebody is bleeding from their femoral artery, or if somebody's having trouble with their house, or you want to build a house, those are very pertinent skills that you should know anyway. But if you do actually know them, you're one of the few rare people in the world who actually can get these things done. And for example, if you're an EMT, act when the time is, or when circumstances are necessitating that somebody act. But also, they're huge confident boosters right out of the gate. So instead of starting off with, for example, the entrepreneur cycle, where again things are more complex and difficult, and you're kind of in the dark the entire time trying to figure uh, out how things are going to work and what things are going to look like. The medic cycle is guided. You're going to an EMT school. The builder cycle is guided, and you come out the other side able to operate in the real world with clear direction. So we encourage people, especially starting off in the beginning, to stick to the other 12 cycles instead of going into the last four. But on top of that, we also encourage people to build their own cycles. And people who are in the preparation have already started doing that. One last thing with this, the cycles are very difficult. The preparation is very difficult overall because, again, it's totally self-guided, highly independent, and moving from one thing to the next, one cycle being totally different from the last, it's high intensity, lots of work. But momentum does build. As soon as you complete the first cycle, it becomes so much easier to complete the next cycle. You actually start to get how the cycle works, how you should direct yourself, how you should structure your time, how you should plan, and how you should use your money. And you start to see how things can flow, how huge the benefit of doing this is, how huge the benefit of learning all of these skills within such a short time period is. And the momentum builds, the motivation builds over time. Now, to go over some of the benefits 3 years into it, I think this is a good way to do it. So, from the last 3 years, this is my list of about 70 major accomplishments going through the preparation. And that's all right. The numbers are cool. The numbers are whatever. But along with that, along with the 70 major accomplishments, since the beginning, I've been tracking all of the minor accomplishments since the beginning as well, month by month. And that has led to 41 pages of accomplishments. Of course, some of those are things just like reading a book or wrote an article for my Substack or got a paid subscriber to my Substack page or I meeting somebody interesting or going to an interesting place, going to a country for the first time. But they also include the higher impact major accomplishments like uh, like these, like getting becoming a certified EMT, a wildland firefighter, learning to sail in the Falkland Islands, all of these things. I mean, the true benefit of what you can get from the preparation just blows the competition out of the water. Like not even close. Not even close. I I can't even imagine, just saying this objectively, no ego at all. I have not met anybody around my age who has a list of accomplishments like this and has learned so many skills in such a short time frame. And it's all because of the preparation. But I should say, beyond the numbers, beyond all of that, looking at my life overall and how it has been shaped over the last 3 years and comparing it to where I was back in July of 2023, the 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 impact is you can't quantify it. It's so vast and broad and deep. It's hard to really understand. I mean, to give you some examples, I I had a good relationship with my family 3 years ago, but I have an even better relationship with my family because of who I am now and what I've done. I know how to actually do a lot of things, real things in the real world. If something goes wrong, I know, like if somebody gets hurt, I know what to do. My life is more fulfilling because I can get on a sailboat and know what to do. I can um, treat somebody who has an issue, know what to do. I can work on wildfires. I can work on a ranch and know how things operate. Um, the accumulation of skills has made my life more rich than I can possibly quantify. But I've also gained real friends. I know that one of the major draws to college specifically is the college experience. Um, what that actually means, I think, is what that actually is comprised of is usually not the best stuff, but there is the social aspect of it. And that's usually a concern people have with the preparation is the social aspect and making sure that their son, their grandson actually, or that they themselves actually do meet a lot of people along the way worth meeting. And I can say that I have more friends than I've ever had. I have friends around my age, but I also have friends that are 30 years old, and I have friends that are 60 or 70 years old, all because of the preparation. The true expanse of benefit from the preparation has been, again, inquantifiable and has affected every aspect, every front of my life, a thousandfold. Um, so, financial independence. This is the main reason we are told to go to college. This is the main thing our culture puts at the forefront. And of course, it's important. We need to be able to make money, and eventually, we need to be able to not only make money, but live independently, support ourselves independently. Um, and that's okay. That's the goal. But with the framework in which we're presented, the idea of financial independence within our culture is incorrect. It's presented as the main pursuit, the main thing to go after, the 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 primary measurement of benefit. And that's just not the case. And it can't possibly be the case, and I think that's clear today when you have a huge portion of Gen Z, even after college, even if they have a job, living with family. If you have no real life skills, if you haven't learned any life lessons, if you have no real life experience, to expect people to be financially independent right out of the gate the first time they enter into the real world is a joke. It's just not going to happen. But on top of that, financial independence isn't just something that shouldn't be the primary goal. It should be a goal overall, but in reality, it's just a byproduct. Like having, it's a byproduct of doing and being, having real world experience, real world skills, and to lay it all out there for parents or grandparents wondering about the cost, the preparation, and whether or not it's possible to actually make money with all these skills you learn. Um, to give you some examples, after becoming an EMT, I got a wildland firefighting job and was making the first year I did it $600 a day. And this year, when I did a little bit of work on fires, I was making $650 a day. EMT, basic level, no other certifications. That's from 4 months of education and $1,500 led to something where I can make 10 grand in 2 weeks and work uh, a job that is also incredibly interesting. Um, then moving to the entrepreneur cycle, that led me to building an agricultural drone business. I don't know if you guys know DJI, but they're a fairly famous Chinese drone company, and they actually produce agricultural drones that carry seed and fertilizer. And so we got one of those, and as part of the entrepreneur cycle, I started a business around it and offered my services to local farmers and ranchers, and built that business within a 3 month time frame, and also acquired two different customers within that time frame. And I could start that business up again anytime I want, try to scale it, try to build it, and make money from it. But also, there's the skills you learn from the preparation, which are which come from the academic section or the books that we recommend. And that's things like the AWAI copywriting course, the Seth Godin marketing course, the Chris Croft sales course. And those things translated directly into the agricultural drone business. But they also could be, if I really put a lot of effort into building my sales skills, marketing skills, or copywriting skills, um, profitable skills in of themselves that I could use to make money. But going to the full um, cost of the preparation, if you do all of the 16 cycles as we tell you to, um, everything from the EMT cycle down to the maker cycle, cycle 16, that is $72,000 or about that. So basically the cost of 1 year at a prestigious university. The only difference being that you come out the other side um, as somebody who's probably totally unrecognizable, has a huge list of skills, um, endless opportunities, literally, and endless ways to earn money. So 72 grand is the major cost if you take all the anchor courses in the preparation. But th this is one thing, and this is one of the most shocking things I found while going through the program, and it's that opportunities are bound to come your way. Especially if you're young, people will come out of the woodwork to offer anyone making massive forward progress and of good faith unique opportunities. Opportunities for experience or money making, often both. This is something that I didn't expect at all, but 4 years, or sorry, 4 months into starting the preparation, after completing EMT school, I started posting what I was doing on Substack. And this is partially why we encourage people to actually post weekly updates on Substack. Um, I had a man email me saying, I see what you're doing. I like the idea of the preparation a lot. Um, and I want to offer you a job. He said, if you want to, it's going to take some work and you have to gain a few certifications to start off. But if you want to, you can next year start working on my Wildland Fire EMS crew. Um, Random opportunity completely out of the blue. And that led to three different things. That led to actually becoming a wildland firefighter and I got that opportunity in November of 2023. June of 2024, I was on my first wildfire making $600 a day. Um, but that also led to a rope rescue course. They're called REMS courses, Rapid Extrication Module Support, which leaves you with nothing. Um, but it was a rope rescue course. I've done two of them now. So entering into that, I got to learn knot skills, rope rescue skills, and that is in its own major skill in of itself. And then I also got two major um, friendships along the way, great relationships with people who are um, about a decade older than me. And that's with the guys who actually run the Wildland Fire EMS company. I've built a great relationship with them over the past 2 years, and so on all fronts, lots of good has come from it. I also, along the way, was offered the opportunity to work on a geophysics crew. And this came out of blue. This came out of nowhere. All of these did, actually. Um, I was told about it. I vaguely told about it. I was told, hey, you can go out to Nevada and you'll apprentice yourself to this lead geophysicist on a geophysics crew that's working under an exploration mining company. And you can be there as long as you want. You'll get paid per day, and you'll get paid to learn. And so, without knowing very much about geophysics or geology or exploration mining, I went out to Nevada and I was with a group of geologists for a week, three from Mexico and one from the UK. I got to take rock samples with them out in the middle of nowhere. And then after that week was over, I spent 12 days actually running survey lines on the geophysics crew, making money, learning along the way, and doing something that I never thought I would do. And then I think the last major one is mule packing. This also came from Substack. This is again why we highly encourage people to post what they're doing. I was trying to learn more about horsemanship here on our ranch in Uruguay. Um, at that time, I was learning all the ranch-based stuff, but this guy contacted me on Substack saying, I see you're in Colorado often. I live in Colorado. I have a ranch in Colorado. If you want to, you can come out to my ranch and I'll teach you the basics of mule packing. He didn't ask anything of me except offer me this opportunity. And the next time I was in Colorado, I took him up on the offer. I went out to his ranch. I spent 3 days with him learning the foundations of mule packing. And I came out of that with new foundational skills and another great relationship. I mean, this man is, um, I think in his late 60s or early 70s. He's lived an exceptional life. He's an exceptional human. And I consider this man my friend. And I hope he considers me his friend too. But relationships, money, and interesting experiences and skills. But I should say that I've had way more opportunities than just this along the way. I mean, one I'm considering now that I might take this guy up on is to go to Australia and work on farms, work the harvest, starting in October, and make some money doing that. Learn some new skills, do some new work. That came out of the blue too. The point is, especially if you're young, if you're getting after it, if you're learning a lot and doing a lot, getting an incredible amount done within a very short time frame, people, especially people who are older than you, will come to you with opportunities. They want to see you succeed. Um, and this, again, contrasting between the conventional paths like college and the preparation. In college, you're surrounded by peers, and fundamentally, you are in a competition with them, just naturally, biologically. You're in a competition with people your age to get ahead and succeed. But that's not the same for people who are older than you. They've done the work. They have mountains more life experience, mountains more money probably than you do, mountains more skills, and a ton more opportunities at their hands that they have or have already taken advantage of. And they want to see young people who are of good faith and making massive forward progress. They want to see those people succeed. So if you're doing all this and you're documenting it, you're putting it out into the real world, you're going to get amazing, unexpected opportunities that will take you places you never would have imagined, and will allow you to do things you never would have imagined along the way. So there's been a very interesting progression in the preparation of how this has all worked. 2023 was the spark. That's, Doug's list of games, activities, and occupations. That's me being lost, my dad wanting to help me out. It was a miracle that it all happened. It was a miracle that uh, three different people of three different generations all had converging interests. Doug wanting to write this book, um, my dad wanting to help me, and myself wanting to get on a meaningful path. That was a spark. 2024 and 2025 were the proof, actually being the beta tester, working on fires, working on the ranch, flying, sailing, stacking skills. We published the book August of last year, the blueprint's out, and now is the community. And this is something that I think in the long run will change the game. Again, the preparation is highly independent, highly Sorry about that, guys. My in Uruguay, the power goes out sometimes. So I'm running the internet off my phone, and hopefully that should work. Apologies again. Um, we don't have the best infrastructure here. Let me just share my screen again. All right. Again, apologies. I didn't expect that to happen. We've had some storms the last couple days. Power goes out, and it's hard to judge when that's actually going to happen. So hopefully this works at least for another 20, 30 minutes or so. Um, Now we have the community. We have the book, the curriculum, but the community is the thing that matters a lot at this point, and I think it's going to be the thing that changes the 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 sheer volume of people who actually start the preparation. Because there's a huge barrier to entry, and it's a mental barrier, and that barrier is really just, I mean, first off, it was not having somebody to actually test it out and prove that it could work, but now it's the aspect of something that's invariably going to happen to everybody who actually starts out in the preparation, and that is dealing with loneliness, which is just a fact of life, something that's going to happen. But when you're in strange places, doing strange things, learning new skills that you know nothing about, surrounded by people you don't know, it's a lonely path sometimes. And I want to reduce that. I want to take the burden of having to deal with that off of people who get into the preparation, at least a little bit, and also encourage them to meet other people who are actually in the program. And if you go into the program now, you're not going to walk it alone to start off with. Um, there's already a building community of it, and these people are some examples. These are people who are actually in the preparation and posting what they're doing on Substack right now. Gunner just finished the Wildland Firefighter cycle, which was a cycle he made up, and he's still working on wildfires as we speak. Nicole is a 49-year-old woman in New Zealand, and she went through the farmer cycle already, as well as the sailor cycle and the pilot cycle. And she's now doing the investor cycle. Mino has just finished the medic cycle. Chase is currently in Florida working on the heavy equipment operator cycle. Abbott is doing a fantastic job. He's already completed the pilot cycle and chef cycle, which is pretty awesome. And he just turned 18, so he completed those cycles before his 18th birthday. And he's now starting the medic cycle. Cody recently just finished the medic cycle. Jason designed his own mechanic cycle, and he's going through that still now. Sophia has gone through her own work cycle, and she's done a few other things as well. And she's traveling Spain at the moment. Sarah, recently spoke to her. She's doing the survivalist cycle, and she found her own survival course to go to. It's been fantastic for her. She signed up to do 26 days at this cycle, but last I talked to her, she loved it so much that she signed up to do a full 50 days. So she's still doing that as we speak. And then Steven is doing his own version of the builder cycle. So we already have a community of people, and these are just a few examples, community of people doing real stuff in the real world and posting what they're doing consistently. But this is the thing that I wanted to unveil at the end of this, and that is the preparation forum. Something I just made, and it's live. If you go to forum.thepreparation.com, this is going to be a home base for everybody walking the path. Trade routes and resources, compare and create cycles, hold each other accountable, and find guidance. This is this is going to be a great place that I think a lot of opportunity can come from, not just in terms of people meeting each other, but for also creating new cycles, um, building better cycles, because We know that while we are creating the preparation and creating each cycle, we don't have all of the knowledge in the world, and we couldn't possibly know what the best skills to learn are. We just compiled a list of what we thought would be best for the majority of people. So in terms of creating cycles, but also meeting people, not just online, but potentially setting up meetings in person, even doing cycles together with a group of people, all of this can be done in the preparation forum. So I think it'll be a game changer. So some features of the forum, I'll just go through it really quickly. Discuss ideas, solve each other's problems, create new cycles. I want it to be a very generative forum, not just a discussion page or discussion forum, but something where good comes out of it. People solve each other's problems that they're having, provide encouragement, all of that. Groups, you can create private groups with people in your area. Actually, on the site, there's a feature with a full world map, so you can enter in your general location. If you find yourself close to somebody else in the preparation, you can meet up with them. I know that in the future, I will definitely be doing that. Achievements. We have achievements for all of the 16 cycles, so there is some level of friendly competition within it, and you get a new achievement and move up the leaderboard with each cycle you complete. We also will be hosting occasional webinars, free calls for all members to join. And the benefits, you won't go through the preparation alone. I know that there's been some times for me personally, I didn't expect this to happen, but even being a very independent, fairly personally self-reliant person, there were some lonely times. There's some times where you might be in Thailand completing the fighter cycle and you're surrounded by people you've never met in your entire life, that you have nothing in common with, except the desire to train. You're going to be in strange places surrounded by interesting people who you know nothing about, and that can generate some level of loneliness. And this, I think, will be the uh, the antidote to some of that. You can also meet people like you. It's very rare to find people who are doing real things in the real world. So if we have a solid list of people who are all making serious headway in life, all together able to communicate, I think a lot of good can come from that. Again, you can connect online or plan in-person meetups, maybe even plan a cycle together, solve problems for each other, and people will help solve your problems. And then again, those opportunities open up to meet interesting people and do interesting things. I think it'll be a big thing. And again, that's forum.thepreparation.com if you want to go there now and check it out. I'm still going to be making some changes to it. It's still in its kind of beta form, but I think it's pretty solid still as is. So, one last thing, in response to some of what I've heard from preppers, that's what we like to call people in the preparation, and their parents, I'm making myself available for a limited number of one-on-one calls, these sort of consultation guidance calls. The first one, well, they're all one-on-one calls, but the one-time one-on-one call is really just for people who are starting off in the preparation. I think given my experience in the last 4 years, I think I can get people started off and making serious headway right away. If you're stuck at any point in the preparation and you just need some guidance and getting back up on your feet, planning the future, figuring out what could work for you, thinking expanding your your range of what is possible. The one-on-one call, the one-time one-on-one call is going to be very beneficial for getting over some mental blocks, solving problems, planning, and making serious headway within a very short period of time. And then the rapid progress pack, that's 4 weeks long, and that's one call a week. This will be more intense, and much more work and effort is going to go into this, both on my end and your end. On your end, you're going to have to be making sure you're following through with all that you need to do, but it's also going to be a highly collaborative process where I'm working with you to help solve your problems, help plan out into the future, whether that is just planning out the next month, the next cycle, or the next 9 months of your preparation. We'll plan all of that out together. We'll work over the mental blocks, which there are plenty when you're going through life alone, especially when you're trying to work through something that's hardly been tested. Again, you don't have a lot of encouragement and a lot of problems aren't solved and available. The solutions to them aren't easily available to you. And my goal in those 4 weeks is to kind of get over those speed bumps as fast as possible and help you get over those mental blocks and hold you accountable along the way to make sure you're making real progress and hopefully progress that carries way past that 1 month of calls. So yeah, start your first cycle. Recommend getting the book if you don't already have it. Um, if you're in the preparation, or if you're a parent or grandparent who wants to check out the forum, go to forum.thepreparation.com. If you want to, uh, I guess, stay up to date with what I'm doing or learn a little bit more about the preparation or some different aspects of it, you can go to maximsmith.com, which is my Substack page. And I'd recommend booking a call if you think that would work for you. Not for everybody, definitely not. I don't recommend everybody do it. But for some people, it might be the right thing. And you can do that on the forum. So that's about it. We can get to the Q&A. I have to, this is my first time actually presenting using Zoom. So there should be a Q&A form on your everybody's screen. If not, I'll just go through the chat and read through the chat. And then after this, um, if you want to raise your hand, I'll call on you and we can kind of go in order and answer any questions you have. But if you do have any questions, leave it in the chat for now. I'm not seeing actually a Q&A section. So if you do have any questions, leave it in the chat. Um, what type, what, you talk about the type of person you want to become. What was your initial answer to this, and how has it changed as you progress throughout the program? That's a good question, Emily. I think my initial answer to this was actually based upon, or kind of tied to, entangled with, um, the Count of Monte Cristo. Um, I think he is not the revenge part of the story. That's a different aspect to it. I'm not talking about that at all. But when it comes to a man of great character, of high capability, high skill, um, who accomplished a lot within a very short period of time and was prepared to face the world. And when he did face the world, he actually made serious, serious headway. That was my initial answer to it, and it stayed pretty consistent throughout the way. Kelly, could some of this program fit into a gap year between high school and college as opposed to replacing college? Are some using it this way? Um, I think it definitely could be used as a gap year. I think you'd have to be much more intentional about what 4 cycles you wanted to go through, because not all of them produce the same benefit. Let's say like the fighter cycle, for example, you probably wouldn't want to put in there. It's huge in terms of character building, but when it comes to like gaining skills that are applicable immediately and can also lead to financial gain. That's not the one you'd want to start off with. So I think it just depends upon what uh, what works best, what you can schedule within that time frame, and yeah, um, being much more proactive about thinking about it all and how it might all work for you within that time frame. But I will say I've had a few people ask me that question, and I think honestly, even if you try the gap year, I think you'll be so convinced by the preparation that you'll want to skip college completely. Maybe not for everybody, but I think that'll be the case for those who maybe do try that. Uh, Susan, how does your mom feel about the preparation? And your siblings, if you have any siblings? I'd say my mom, it was interesting to give you an example of how things have progressed within this time frame. In the beginning of the preparation, nobody understood what I was doing, and bouncing around from one, going from one skill, learning one skill, getting a certification maybe, and then moving on to the next in rapid succession, led to a lot of people around me not understanding the benefit, and even family being confused and worried about me. I had a few family members call my dad and ask if I was okay because they didn't understand what I was doing with my life. But now, uh, actually, about 2 years into it, their stance completely changed, and all of a sudden they were saying, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe, you've done these things or learned this, whatever." So how does my mom feel about the preparation specifically? I think uh, she has had no qualms with it and has been very happy with the results overall. Siblings, I have a brother and a sister, and I'd say that it's the same answer for them, honestly. Kelly, what is the ideal age to start the program? Thank you. That's one of the questions I was hoping somebody would ask. Um, there is no ideal age to start this program. Actually, we had somebody start, I think it was yesterday. They sent me a message on Substack saying it was a joint account with him and his mom. I'm 10 years old. I'm starting my own version of the preparation. And then, like I mentioned, Nicole, the woman in New Zealand, she's gotten a few cycles done. She's 49. She's not using this as an alternative to college exactly. It can be started at any age, beneficial at any age. Ultimately, what the preparation is not an alternative to college, but it's a life philosophy. It's a way of looking at the world and how you interact with it differently. And no matter who you ask, whether it's anybody on the younger side in the preparation, any of those people I mentioned earlier, or Nicole, for example, they all have great things to say and have said that their lives have improved dramatically because of it, even within just a few short months. But we've had people come to us who are 70, literally 70 years old, saying, "This is awesome. I want to start this right now." Of course, it would end up looking a little bit different, but there is no ideal age to start it. It's just, of course, some things are more open to you at 18. Some courses or programs are more open to you at 18 than they would be at 10 or even 15. But there's a lot more you can do in the world. You can push the boundaries to learn and do a lot of things. You can push those boundaries much farther than you think. You can definitely enter into a lot of these courses on the younger side and just have your parents sign a liability waiver for you, and a lot of people will let you in and actually complete the course. Wyatt, does the preparation teach you how to use AI in today's world? Yeah, that's a good point worth bringing up here. With AI, obviously having a major impact on things, no matter what your view of AI is or what the capabilities of it now are. or what they might look like in the future. I think it's clear that it's having a huge impact, and the hacker cycle of the preparation is actually kind of based around no code and learning to use, well, you can use things like Claude Code, for example, um, or really any AI at this point to learn to code and or learn to code no code and actually build real products or real services. And I use it all the time. I think it's just bound to happen in terms of planning things out, figuring out different courses I want to take if I need to find an alternative, structuring finances or in the entrepreneur cycle, using that for marketing or sales. Absolutely, you'll learn how to use AI. Jack, as a mid-70s grandfather, I want to help my grandchildren push their lives forward. This is the best way to do it. Absolutely. Back to Emily. How have you handled housing in different places you've stayed, especially internationally? Yes, this is another good point, something I completely forgot to bring up during the financial independence slide, and that is that we also highly encourage people while working within the preparation to also not take on any major financial liabilities or burdens, such as car payments or or bills. You don't want to trap yourself into paying apartment bills for an apartment you're staying in. We highly, highly, highly encourage people not to do that. And we tell people to get out there. If you're in a place where you have family or friends, ask to stay with them if possible, to save as much money as possible. And of course, along the way, if you are doing that, you want to make sure that it's a beneficial, it's a mutual benefit to all parties involved. If somebody's actually letting you stay at their house, you should walk away with them actually being happy that you stayed with them. But yeah, I've stayed with family, I've stayed with friends, I've slept in my car, I've stayed in my hotel, or I've stayed in hotels, stayed in Airbnbs. It's, whatever worked at the time or whatever made most sense, you have to be willing to do just about everything, not only to save money, but just in terms of what works best. It doesn't make sense to always find hotels, and they're expensive too, of course. So I hope that answers the question. Just do what you can with what you have where you are. If it's your car, great. If it's a tent, be wary of these things and make sure you're doing it in a smart place, of course. But do what you need to do where you are. Sarah, have you personally purposely tried to alternate cycles when you're traveling versus ones you do at home? Uh, no, not exactly. I think a lot of the planning with the preparation is based upon what works at the time. And for example, it could be if you want to do the builder cycle, which is in Maine, and you want to do the build and design course, that is usually hosted in November. And if that just can't work, if you have a few months to kill before that actually starts, you can do an at-home focused cycle of the preparation. Or if you're running a little low on cash, then I highly encourage you to do the work cycle, go back home, work as much as you can within 3 months, and uh, get back on your feet to keep learning more, keep doing more. Really, it's just what works for you at the time. It's very dynamic, ever changing. It's something that you have to get used to with things just being ever changing. Wyatt says, even if I don't take the course, what should I take away from the book to still be successful in life? Well, um, I think if you read the book, the most important thing from it will be the philosophy-based section. which is the first section of the book. And I think that is the basis, the foundation, the bedrock of everything, the bedrock of life itself, what actually matters, and that's morality and virtue being the most important things. So whether or not you do any of the cycles ever in your entire life, the best thing you'll walk away with from the preparation isn't necessarily the cycles. It's actually the philosophy and the direction of pursuing virtue. That is the most important thing. Um, Darlene said, "Do you know if a 529 college savings plan can be used towards this program?" Um, I don't know that, actually. I don't have the answer to that question. I think it largely depends on what you're doing. We don't really have this program is not necessarily as it's not registered anywhere. It's not its own private entity, which I think I don't know, but I think a 529 college savings plan would have to be directed towards like a highly structured learning program. But where this is just all based in a book. Michelle says, does that 75K estimate of what all of the anchor courses in the cycles cost include purchasing the books and other costs, or just the cost for the main programs for each cycle? That is just the cost for the main programs in each cycle. That's not factoring the books or paying a subscription fee to, for example, the great courses, to take online academic courses. It's not counting living expenses just because or travel expenses, because there's no way we could factor all of that in. But 75K is the estimate that we calculated of what all of the actual anchor courses cost. And then back to Wyatt, he says, what about the preparation can open more doors than a college degree when searching for a high-paying job? Well, it depends on what you mean by high-paying job exactly. Are we talking like six figures? I mean, because that is doable. For example, if you work on wildfires on the EMS side of things, that is doable. And especially, if you complete the preparation and you want to become highly specialized in one thing, let's say you become a paramedic, for example, which you do have to do 2 years of schooling to do that, to actually become a paramedic. But let's say if you took that path, then you can easily make $1,000 a day working on wildfires. And of course, seasons vary, but a season like the one we have now in the States, $1,000 a day. It could be over 1,000 if you're on a rope rescue team as a paramedic. That that compounds pretty quickly, and you can easily spend in a good season 100 days on different fires. So, but I'd say that's not the objective of the preparation is to come out the other side with an expansive opportunity. It's not to necessarily end up in a career. Now, if that's what you want, like, of course, everybody's free to do what they want. We highly encourage people to do exactly what they want. If you come out the other side of the preparation and you want to specialize in one thing, you know exactly what you want to do, fantastic. Now you are even more prepared to face the actual real world and deal with it, and a much more you'll be much more of value because of everything you've learned. But a career, again, isn't the main focus of the preparation. The main focus is to not only understand how the world works and how to operate in it, but come out the other side with a huge amount of skills and a huge amount of opportunities. Different ways to make money, which can allow different, like countless career paths you can go down if you wanted to. but you also have a solid foundation to start a business in potentially any field you gain skills in before and use those entrepreneur skills you gained in the entrepreneur cycle. But really, it's about expanding opportunities through uh, massive breadth of skills and experience. It's not leading towards one ultimate thing. But of course, that varies for everybody. Um, Let me see. I'm just looking here. So why move on so quickly from one thing to the next? I think this is one part of the preparation that is hard for a lot of people. Um, it's been difficult for myself at times, but also some of the people on Substack posting what they're doing. Um, you see it manifested in them that it's difficult to learn the foundations of one skill, then pick it all up and move on to the next after 3 months. It's a difficult process, but again, going back to kind of the answer to Wyatt's question, it's what's the ultimate goal? And the ultimate goal is not mastery of any one thing. Um, maybe mastery is Malcolm Gladwell's version of 10,000 hours dedicated to one specific skill. Um, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to leave you prepared for basically any circumstance you'll face in life and allow you to have all these different opportunities. And so you have to accept the cost of dealing with the time constraints and dealing with the rapid succession from one thing to the next in order to actually successfully do it and get the most out of it as possible. Um, to kind of escape the mental trap of thinking you need to become a master at something, especially so early on in life. Um, oh, yeah, and as Jack says, the resume you'll have by the end of the preparation is something nobody else has in the world. You'll walk away being able to hand a piece of paper to somebody, maybe multiple pieces of paper if we're counting all of what you've done, showing exactly what you've done. And even if you have very little experience in a specific field, if you hand an employer your resume from the last 4 years, it it expresses something very different and unique about you, which is you are someone who's capable of enduring difficulty. You're someone who's capable of learning quickly. You're someone who can actually get things done without direction, or very minimal direction. You can do things independently. Um, that is massive, and anybody who you'd want to work with will value that. Absolutely. More so than any piece of paper or credential. That means it really only means, okay, I have to train you now for everything that you thought you learned over the last 4 years. Um, how do you view the end of the preparation? At what point in life should one focus on one thing and dive deep into it? What do you plan to do after you finish this? Um, I think it's a difficult question. Every time I've got the question of what I'm planning to do after the preparation, I have the same answer, and that's I don't know. I still don't know. Um, because, well, part of that is because I know that a year from now, and I have 1 year left in the preparation. A year from now, my circumstances will be very different, and my skill set will be added to. The number of opportunities on my path, will be very different than they are now. And so I don't think it's worth assigning a specific outcome or direction before you actually get there. Um, at what point in life should one focus on one thing and dive deep into it? Well, I think after you learn how the world works and have a solid foundation that allows you to competently work within it. Solomon, which cycle or cycles is the best to start with? Um, I mentioned this earlier, but I think that from what we've seen, from our experience, not just with myself, but viewing other people and what they've managed to do in the preparation, it's got to be the medic and builder cycles. I'm I haven't done the builder cycle personally, and I'm biased towards the medic cycle because of all the good that has come from it. But just viewing it at face value, if especially if you're young and you have no life experience, if you go into EMT school, which is 2 to 4 months long and ranges anywhere from $1,500 to about 5 grand, depending upon where you go, you walk away knowing how to treat somebody who is seriously injured or sick. And that's a huge confidence booster right out of the gate, which is something you need to build momentum in the preparation. You need that momentum and very early confidence stemming from competence that you're gaining. And so I think those are the best two that we found so far. I'll mention really quickly again the last 4 cycles of the preparation, the entrepreneur cycle, investor cycle, hacker cycle, and maker cycle. Don't do those in the beginning. We really recommend you don't do it because you're just going to be more confused and feel more lost. Like if you go into the entrepreneur cycle, for example, at least when I went into it, all of a sudden there's a mountain of things I have to figure out. Not only do I have to figure out what service or product I'm going to offer, which is fairly easy in my case. Not only that, but I also have to figure out how to properly market and sell this thing, which is its own complex issue that you have to deal with going into it. So you're in the dark the entire time trying to figure things out. Same with the investor cycle, hacker cycle, and maker cycle. It's best to save those until later on. Um, but I think I had a few more frequently asked questions that I had written down, but I think we covered about everything. I guess let's do, if we have 5 more questions, we'll do 5 more. If we have 2 more questions, let's do 2 more, but I think that'll be about it for today. Going back to Emily, what is the social aspect rootlessness like? What have you found the best ways of handling that to be? The forum should help people too. How did you personally deal with it? Personally struggling with this. I completely get it. It's a very difficult thing. Again, at times I have been very uncertain or very lonely, I should say. Just because you're in strange places, surrounded by people you don't know, learning a skill you have no experience in, and it's difficult. And to actually get through that, I think it all comes down to how you view what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. And to explain that a little more, what I actually mean by that, one of the difficult mental blocks, mental hurdles you have to get over is not being outcome dependent, which is something you'll learn in the preparation. Everybody who does it has to learn this because you're just life will hit you in the face if you don't learn it. We are naturally inclined to be outcome dependent, to seek out a goal, and hope that that goal comes to fruition, and bet everything on the fact that it will come to fruition. And when that doesn't happen, or sorry, when we're focused on that, it distracts us from what actually matters and what is actually going on. And so it keeps you away from thinking about the possibilities, the positives, kind of building a story, a mental story around what you're doing, which matters too, and also enjoying what's directly around you. It really does. There's been times, for example, this past year when I went to Thailand to train Muay Thai, I was 100% outcome dependent. I wanted to um, not only train Muay Thai for about a month and a half, but I wanted to fight as well. I wanted to schedule that fight, and I needed it to happen in my mind. So I disregarded the good things that were going on around me. There were some good people who I could have spent more time with. I could have enjoyed training more. I could have taken it easy a little bit. Even though it's high intensity, you need to get a lot done in a short amount of time. There are times to just take it easy and look around you and enjoy the 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 presence of the people around you and your current circumstances. And if you're outcome dependent, you're not going to be able to do that. At least not very well. So I don't know if that answers your question, Emily. I hope it kind of does. It's a complex issue. Um, but Dion, why did you travel to Japan? What did you learn while there? My family and I live in rural Hiroshima. That's very cool. Japan's very beautiful. I traveled to Japan because my fiance is half Japanese and she has family there. And it was a good pit stop along the way to Thailand. So I didn't learn anything while I was there. I just except learned a little bit about a new culture and got to travel to a place I'd never been. It was just a pit stop along the way. Uh, Andy says, has Doug Casey changed or added to his views on the preparation with how he sees the coming upheaval, Greater Depression, and social disruption? No, I think it's actually been only strengthened over time by what's been going on. I think when there's so many different aspects of this. If we're talking about pursuing the conventional paths, well, do you want to be stuck on a treadmill of having to pay off debt while your opportunities dwindle by the day and your money also means less and less by the day? Your dollar literally gets you hardly anywhere nowadays, and who knows what it's going to look like a year from now on that front. And so, in terms of sticking to one of the conventional paths, pursuing a career, sticking to one path, trying to hit that goal of mastering something, I think his views have stayed pretty consistent that that is a bad idea. That the person who's going to succeed through tumultuous times, through difficult times, is the generalist, is the Renaissance man, is the person who knows a little about a lot of things and knows a lot about a few things and can actually do those things as well. That's the type of person who's going to succeed during those times. And I think just beta testing it the last 3 years, that's become more and more obvious because even while the value of the dollar dwindles, your opportunities can expand. You can make money in different ways. So if you know one field, one line of work falls through and maybe no longer exists, you have five other opportunities, five other ways to make money, and also the benefit of understanding how to do it yourself. So it's only been strengthened over time, and I think, unfortunately, I think the world will get even more uncertain in the future and difficult. And it's the people who know a little about a lot of things, a lot about a few, know how to actually do it, who have prepared for life and haven't drowned themselves in debt, who are going to be prepared for anything they'll face. But I think we'll leave it at that. I've kept you guys for quite a while here. I don't even know what time it is. Uh, just about 2 hours. I appreciate all of you guys very much. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. This is my first presentation ever, so thank you for making it great. Thank you for all of the great questions, and I hope this has been beneficial to everybody. I wanna I want all of you to walk away from this gaining something, whether that be knowledge of how the course works so that maybe you can do it or someone you love can do it. A clear direction on where you want to go or where someone you love should go or something like that. And also a clear direction of where the preparation overall is going with the forum and with the overall community, making it into something that will have a potentially massive impact on a lot of people in a crazy way. So thank you guys so much. It's really been awesome. It's been fantastic. And apologies again for the internet going out. That's just Uruguay stuff. So, but anyway, hope to speak to you guys again in the future, and I'll see you guys later.